welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we are live for iRacing, and it is the Pagnian Imports GTE Championship. Tonight is round 2, so that sees us at Sebring International Raceway. It's going to be a fantastic race to see with the GTE class. Our session for tonight, we've got 10 minutes of practice, weather conditions will be clear, and then we've got 10 minutes of qualifying. The race is 40 minutes with cars capped at fuel, meaning they will need to stop in for a pit stop to get the car home, and it is rolling starts for the GTE series, and then restarts will be single file with lap cars at the back, and hopefully no safety car needed. And our image has gone a little bit haywire up there, so we do have Sebastian Van Del leading the championship after round 1, so he's managed to get a awesome opening for the series. So we'll actually just drag that out bigger as we're going so we can actually read that, because I can't see myself. So 260 points up for grabs there for Sebastian Van Del, and that comes after he's come through with a clean sweep for the opening round. So that was at Spa Frankel Champs, and then taking pole the fastest lap, and then secured the victory, and there was no slowing him down. So will it be the same tonight, or will we see a bit of difference with the different manufacturers for the cars? I'll load up the track. Sebring is 5.79 kilometers. We are in the USA, and it has been a freshly refurbed track in the recent updates from iRacing. So that track surface and some of the curbs are a little bit different. So it's going to be very interesting race for our drivers, especially those that were very familiar with the previous track surfacing. And we'll see how our drivers are going in the open practice. I have some details loading up on the screen in a moment. The session taking a little while to load in, so it was a little bit delayed getting in, and that's even cost us about a minute by the time the session loaded up. On trackside now, we've got 23 drivers currently registered. They will have until the end of qualifying to actually register the race and be able to join in. And if you're joining us for the stream, jump in the chat, say hello. Got Jenna Lee and Mick in the chat. Hey Jenna Lee, having a good night, hope you are too. And hey Mick, thanks for joining in. Drivers appreciate the support of all our viewers. If we do have any new viewers, hit the follow button so you can help us reach our next milestone. We're trying to reach that 300 follower count on Twitch, and even jump over to our YouTube channel. It is down at the bottom of the screen. That's youtube.com/Apex Esports League. So we can only keep our streams as videos on demand in Twitch for 2 weeks, and then Twitch automatically deletes them. So after the race, our sessions do get uploaded to YouTube. So you can go back through and check out all our past broadcasts, see how drivers have been going in other championships, or even go back and just catch some of the highlights of previous races. You definitely can share the Twitch stream to other platforms. All it needs is just our Twitch link. So that's the twitch.tv/Apex Esports League. And users do not need to have a Twitch account to actually watch the race as well, so they can just jump on through a browser and then check out the races, or even come back in and watch it. As soon as the stream is over and done and ended, you can go back through and watch it from any point in the stream. The first lap's coming in. Blake Urquhart setting on 56.7. to jump in and turn some laps in a practice session with the guys yesterday. There was some pretty tidy times coming through and a real mix in manufacturers. So it's going to be definitely interesting. Still got a few more loading in as well. What is Blake Urquhart using? So he's in the BMW. And the drivers will have to make sure that they've selected the exact same car that they have used. That is for the drivers that actually participated last week. Once they've used the car, they have locked it in for the series. So if there's been a car change, the points they earn tonight would actually be void. Unless in that circumstance that they're deciding that they will stick with that car for the rest of the series. That means they will void the previous round's points. So if they've accidentally registered and picked that wrong car, they could be in for a big loss of points. And there's the open practice complete. So now 10 minutes of qualifying. There's points on the line. For those that didn't join us last week or haven't got us on our Facebook, we have had a change in the point system for iRacing. So we essentially doubled pole position points and then dwindled down from there. So we capped our sessions usually at 40 drivers. But we were only giving points up to position 30. So there's now points that will dwindle down all the way through to P40. That means 50 points for pole, and that will go all the way down the 40th, only scoring 1 point. And then the race points are also changing. So it sees 200 points for a win and dwindles down to P40 at 2 points, where those last 10 would be getting 0 points. And that can be very costly, especially if they're involved in an at-fault incident and cop some penalty points that sees them into the negative. There's our championship leader. Will Varndell be able to dominate in the Porsche at Sebring tonight? I've seen the guys doing from practice recently, it was the full mix up towards the fastest times. So seeing anywhere from 55s through to 57s as the fastest times. And that was a mixture of Porsche, Ferrari and the BMW as the stronger cars. Porsche seemed to be rather strong last week. Car size for and see if we've got any debuts tonight. And we will remember to jump on board for a lap. We did forget last week. Marcus Duncan in full black BMW. The thing looks awesome, fully blacked out. And Keegan debuted last week, as did Philip Furlow. And he had a pretty good run to be only just brand new to iRacing, not just debuting with Apex on iRacing, but iRacing in general. So he's no stranger to our leagues. He's Philly Manilli in Project Cars too. A lot of our drivers having made the transition over the last probably 6 months more so. They've all been tempted over to the dark side. So we should see first time laps coming on now. And we're looking at essentially 2-minute average for a lap time. There's not going to be a whole lot of room for error. So we find that on the larger tracks with only 10 minutes of qualifying, you got that out lap. And with currently 26 cars out on the track, you got no room for error. Yeah, so we're getting some times in, but I think they're being invalidated. Oh, there we go, they've just registered. Blake Urquhart did have pole sitting at 56.737. That's been undercut by about 4 tenths. That's for Brendan Meyer. Brendan Meyer caught up in turn 1 incident on the rolling start last week. With all drivers very much aware that it's rolling start conditions. Last week in the pre-race drivers debrief, they were all shocked that it was rolling start. So I just got accustomed to our standing starts and didn't see these sessions being set up for rolling given the GTEs. Arnie having a few dramas in that vet. We've got 15 drivers getting a time on the board. There's opportunity for 2, maybe 3 laps. Hey Mark, thanks for jumping on the stream. And say, can I see your name up on there, or you're away and supporting the team? Russell Gander getting up in the 157s in the Ferrari. Oh, there's our first free. Oliver Patterson in the Porsche. BMW in P2. And Porsche in P1 with Brendan Meyer. Oh, coming down onto turn 1. So going to jump on board for a lap. So turn 1, very tricky to get. Which is at that inside wall is what you want to aim for your apex. Tap of the brake just before that outside wall tips in. And the curbs now in the new layout much more higher, so it lifts the car, especially in the GTEs. There used to be a lot of flat curbs and a lot of dirt on those inside corners. So you used to be able to run off a fair bit, take the dirt without an off track, especially coming here. It's going to break around to the 3 witches hats marks down to the first gear. You used to be able to take the sausage curb in the dirt, and that lines you up straight for that chicane. You don't have to turn, just dive straight for those ripple strips. Rick is not running tonight. He is resting up. He ran in the Daytona 24-hour over the weekend, running the LMPs. So he is completely knackered after that. So he's earning a well-deserved rest after a good result in the 24-hour. And then right down that exit curve, full stick. You do not want to lift that foot. Down the second, get as much curb, or he's locked that car. Will he save it and be able to keep going, or is he going to bring it in? He probably doesn't want to bring it in. No damage, tyres are clean. And then down into Le Mans corner. You can cut that inside curb, essentially straddle it, and then take yourself right out to that exit. And turn 11, very tricky corner, especially once you want to bring the car into the pits. As late brake as possible, just try and nearly clip those cones, and then turn in down to the third gear, and then flat foot. You're going to drift this car straight out towards that exit normally when he's bringing the car into the pits. There is a little bit of a tyre wall. See if we can get that whole section on board with Blake Urquhart in the BMW M8. So a little bit of yellow line clip, pushing it out, all the way out towards the edge of that wall. And then it is a little bit raised. So having a look over to the right here, you'll see the concrete start to move in a little bit to the right. That's your braking marker. And then try not the chicken, flat foot all the way out to that curb. You'll gain at least 3 tenths by not lifting. But then you are on that approach in the car, very poor visibility. It is so easy to lift, but if you do manage to get that line, it is an absolute golden lap. Brendan Meyer holding pole 156.3. Royce Lynn's moved up. He's bumped down Oliver Patterson into position 3. Marcus Duncan's moved up into P5. Van Dell not qualifying a time, so he's struggling with the car at the moment. I'm sure that we've got some other Ford GTs out there from memory, if they've joined the session from last week. Trying to recall who it is. I'll say if we've got Banksy in here, he'll definitely be running the Ford GT, but he wasn't here last week, and I don't think he's made it tonight. So 6 drivers not getting a qualifying time. That's definitely going to be painful for Sebastian Van Dell. It's last laps now, so we'll take a look at the standings in a moment. The driver's going to be able to probably get these lap through, so we'll try and catch it before the session kicks us over. It's kind of Nixon improve. He was 22nd. Yeah, he moves up into 2nd position. Nicely done on that final lap. So let's take a look at those qualifying times. So we have for round 2 at Sebring, Brendan Meyer takes pole for 156.3, and then our first 10 is Connor Nixon, Blake Urquhart, Royce Lynn, Oliver Patterson, Marcus Duncan, Russell Gander, Josh Harvey, Stuart Crawford, and Dan Bartosh. A little bit of movement there. We just had Keegan Corbell move up into P19 from 20 on that last lap, but a very good spread of times. That's only 5 drivers not getting in a qualifying time, so it's not too bad. So they've managed to get through reasonably well. Jones trying to get a time in, doesn't get anything in, so possibly exceeded those track limits. So it's just waiting on Corey Brand to ready up, otherwise it will load us into the session in just a moment. So Piccoli, Van Dell, Phillips, Blake Gallen, Newens and Jones. Not qualifying a time, so it'll see him at the back. We'll try and get a better view for the rolling start. We may even get a full formation lap here. It's rather interesting where safety cars got us started. It's going to be different at each track. So caught all the drivers off guard last week as the start and finish lines are different. So usually at Spa you come through and finish the race. Actually after the chicanes. So all the drivers are expecting it to go then, but green flag conditions were given, so the race was started, but the control line was actually around through turn 1 and then onto the other pit straight going up to En Rouge. But once that green light is given, the race has started, so that means drivers can pass before the control line. The only driver that cannot pass on the control line is P2, so they do have to monitor position 1. So they have to ensure they try and go peg for peg and sit back that little bit. Let P1 cross the line and then try and flat foot through and get the advantage. Chocolate camera is probably worse. I think Blimp's going to get us the best view for the rolling start. There was an accordion of shunts in that left line. Left line, should I say. It was like a traffic incident on the highway. I think we're going to get a full lap here. Yeah, we're going to get some weird stuff going on, I think, here. Yeah. Show flags is going to be a little bit weird. Yeah, they're going to get a full formation lap here. Once the safety car's in, pace control will be down to P1, so that'll be Brendan Meyer. So the car's essentially started. It's only a few corners away from the control line at Spa. Given that it is a bit longer of a track, lap time still at Sebring fairly decent. So I thought it might have started them back on that back straight. Hopefully no contact going on throughout the field. Yeah, DK is a fantastic track. Out of all my favourite tracks, Sebring is on par with Bathurst for me. Out of all the endurance tracks, this is very much in on it. It's fast, it's technical. It has all the qualities that Bathurst has, just not the mountain. But then you got all the other issues, as this is on an old air base. So it's all conjoined roads and bits of old airstrip. So the track surface is very rough. It used to be much rougher in the previous version. It looks like a pretty clean start. No one doing the hitting of the brakes. That's what caused the accordion of shunts. So it's best just to ride the brakes. So safety car should be going in now, so we should be getting green conditions.
Green flag, green flag.
There it is. And what a start Is there any movement going down the back? So they can all pass. But turn one's going to be interesting, especially for the spotters in the game. As the track is that wide through turn one, it won't tell you if there's a car beside you if they're more than a car length away from you. Urquhart already pushing some pressure onto Meyer. And makes a dive. He's going to come down to the hairpin. This could be interesting. You have to shave a lot of speed off to make it. It's going to disadvantage him for the next two corners. Meyer's going to have a good run. He's not giving up without a fight. Look, a bit of contact between Caldwell and Arnie. Just been some rubbing. Doesn't look like they've gone off track. Well, it's just two lone car incidents, so it's been a great start to the race. All the drivers much more prepared for tonight. Listen to these GTEs swarm past. Well, there's been contact. Buckland's been turned around. He's reversing off track. Cam Jones, I think, may have been involved in some contact with it. Some position movements going on. Van Del, despite not qualifying, moving up into position 14. Urquhart's dropped 2 positions now. He did take the lead from Meyer. Sees Nixon sneak on up. This is where you can see the drivers nearly crossing paths through turn 1. Especially the drivers aren't using VR or triple screens. That single screen, their visibility coming through that corner, very risky. Oh, is that a toe from Schooler? No, it's just a blink out. I thought he might have just dropped out of the session. That's quite a big blink he's just had. Varndale trying to pass. It's going to make things a little interesting. So it's now 2 Porsches up the front after they've squeezed Urquhart down. There's a swarm of Porsches moving their way through. It's Duncan and Urquhart in the BMWs up towards the front end. Looks like Duncan's got some good pace over Crawford at the moment. Can he capitalise on it and make a move? Or Crawford be able to hold him off? Like any drastic incidents. Crawford and Duncan battling it out through turn 11. There you go, really just getting a few valid laps. Oh, what's just gone off for Bartus? I don't know if that was a lock under brakes or not. That car just dove out to the right and he scraped that wall. Oh, the car be safe to be able to go through. Oh, there's another car that's just gone off. Caldwell's in the pits. That's Corey Brand misjudged down through turn 2 from the looks of things. Because still cold tyres, likely cold brakes. It's going to take a few laps to really get these cars dialed in, so they've got to be cautious. At least they got a bit longer of a formation lap to try and warm up the brakes and tyres. Boris Lynn has Blake Urquhart set in his targets. It's the M8 taking on the M8. Swing is a little bit premature, swinging out. The tuck back in is going to lose a fair bit of speed, but can he make up for it here? Oh, he's drifted out. Some very tight door-to-door racing. You'd see Urquhart realising he was up along that inside as he went to take the line. Meyer still able to hold off Nixon. Just how long can he keep it up? Because Nixon is sitting hot tight. Shot that corner a little bit, he manages to pull it back in. That Porsche absolutely roaring. A bit off track. The pressure trying to hunt down Meyer, got to him, that's now seen him drop some pace. Urquhart and Lynn now closing in very quickly. It looks like Lynn has a lot of pace through the final corner. Will he try and have another shot at Urquhart? That's looking good. 3 laps. We've only had 4 cars that have actually made contact. Oh, Urquhart slingshots out. He's on that outside line. It's going to be interesting to try and turn in. Staggered 3 wide. They've touched. Nixon saves the car. Tucks back in. That is very lucky. It's hard to see who might have had the track position for that. They're probably about on par with each other. The tangle between the two. Open the door for Lynn. Moves up into P2. Pit stop so far for Caldwell and Shane Patterson. Way too early to be able to avoid having to come back in for some fuel. He's just coming to the pits at around the 30-minute mark. Should be sufficient to be able to take on the remainder of the race. So was needing to come in and deal with a fast repair or not? On the bumper with Varndell as he rounds up, tries to round up Duncan. Fergie 170 kilometres an hour. lift down through turn 1. Duncan definitely feeling some pressure here from Vandel. So on lap 5, Myers managed to lead the full 5 laps. Arnie and Haitley closing into battle for position 17. The fight continues between Nixon and Urquhart. So they're similarly paced at the moment. Vondel's still trying to round up the field. He's made a huge amount of movement. The car just slingshots around. But I think he's carrying a little bit too much speed for that final turn. So Duncan opened that up, a little bit of a switchback manoeuvre from Vandel. He's going to be on that inside line for turn 1. Hey, Gal, thanks for jumping in. No worries. Trip away. Wondering where you might have been. David Baz and Stuart Crawford. Only a few attempts separating the two. Viewers, don't forget to use those sound effects controls underneath. Have some fun, show some applause, some cheers as the race unfolds. Hey Simo, thanks for jumping on as well. It is some good racing so far. And definitely learning. Really got the hang of that rolling start tonight. At least I had a whole lap to get into it instead of only a couple of corners. That's good. You had a good holiday. Yeah, it wouldn't have been too good of a weather for it being away. It's been shocking up this way. So it's lap 7. Meyer still leading in that Porsche. He's pushed out the gap to 2.8 seconds now. And the BMW trying to hold on, but Meyer really pulling away. So 15 minutes through. And the drivers are able to push out around 30 minutes worth of fuel. We did notice the Ferraris could last out a little bit longer. Urquhart's going to have another crack at getting position back from Nixon. Oh, a little bit of a touch in that rear panel. Coming off the back of Nixon's. I think he's in the Porsche from the sound of it, getting the look of it down there. And the track temperature's gone up to a few degrees. So we're seeing about 27 degrees now. Humidity's dropped. Right up the top of that. See a lot of rear slip from both. He decides to pit in. So definitely out there, pit marker. So stop here, filling that car it will be more than enough to get the car home. Hey, dirty. That's it. Philly doesn't start pulling his weight, take his computer off him. He can go around and seize it off him. He's doing well. Position 12. It's his second race out on iRacing. And he did take some damage in the rolling start, I believe, last week. In the practice session, saw him putting down some very nice times. He's managed to get the hang of the car pretty well over a very short time. And I bet he was well in over his head and a bit daunted jumping in for the round one rolling start with about 32 cars on the track. And Simo's going to take Aitley's computer. Anyway, we're not racing for slips here, we're racing for PCs. Oh, there's some contact going on down the back. That's Marcus Duncan, automatically towed the car in. I think that one may have been self-inflicted. And Marcus, an unknown driver, will take a quick look and see what was going on, because that was a solid hit. Duncan was having a pretty good run. Oh, he's lost it out in the dirt. Took some damage. And just self-inflicted, unfortunately. And go Sami, thanks for joining us. Sami's army here to cheer him on. Currently position 27, he has pit in. Looks like he's come in, it's a 16.8 second stop in the box. So that means he's taken on a load of fuel. So it doesn't look like he's had to come in for damage. I can't see any contact incidents. The car's looking pretty good. Now drivers that were up towards that front end that have come in and pit is Oliver Patterson. This is about the first 7 cars. And it's the same with Connor Nixon. So when he is battling it through that final corner, having another crack with Blake Urquhart, he peeled off into the pits. Probably wise decision at this point in the race, especially when you're constantly fighting and having to check your mirrors. If you come in, get that fuel, get out of the way. He's giving a flash of the lights to Furlow up ahead. They are racing for position essentially. Furlow does need to fit in. Usually I'd say kind gesture when you're a lapping car. So Furlow having no requirement to move aside, but he did. If you do know the other car's got a lot more pace on you, it's not worth fighting it out, potentially getting caught in an incident. Hey Ricky, thanks for jumping on. all the crew in the chat tonight. It's great to see. Lots of support going out to our drivers. They're doing a fantastic job. They've absolutely nailed in these GTEs now. Got the round one teething out of the way. Despite Myers absolutely blitzing out the front, he hasn't been able to push out that gap too much further. Lynn is still keeping reasonably close. The gap's teetering, drops down to about 3.5 seconds, and then it closes up to the closest of 2.7. So there's some driver ability much better through certain sections, or it could just be also a mixture of that and car manufacturer. No dirty, no Sebring on Project Cars 2. I think on the older F1 games, potentially Sebring was on it. But I had essentially never heard of it until I came over to iRacing, then was asked to do the Sebring 12 hour. Even my first laps around here, I just thought, what have I got myself into? But in the end, I absolutely love the track. If we had this on Project Cars 2, it would absolutely have been in our mix. Tony Phillips has had to have a tow as well. I can't see when it was that he may have done it. Looks like it's a couple of solo car incidents going on for Phillips. The only other driver needing a tow. Oh, School, a big blink. Going, where is Steph? Yeah, where is Steph at the moment? Steph holding her ground. Position 21, we saw her in the pits pretty early. It's an 8-second stop. But I think she was close enough within that pit margin that she should not have to stop again. She's closing in on Arnie. Yeah, Ricky. Well, I'm sure we'll see that Ford up towards the front end next week. I remember the last 24-hour race I did, I was absolutely shattered for days. Probably would not have been in very good form tonight trying to get the racing in. Meyer coming up to lap traffic, so then dives straight into the pits, and there's 16 minutes left to go. It's a pretty good pit window. Look at that. That sees Van Del take the race lead. Doesn't get in a qualifying time. Starts towards the back. Looks like Arnie's starting to pull away a bit from Piccoli. Oh, look, Steph really closed that in on approaching to that hairpin. So capitalising on some of the advantages to the BMW compared to that Corvette. Steph having a fantastic run. She can keep this up. There's still some cars ahead that aren't too far off. It's only a matter of about 20 seconds away. And then the average pit stop, we're looking at anywhere from 16 seconds up to 30 at the longest. So we could see some positions gained here. Russell Gannon out in the P2. We saw this last week as well. The Ferrari really dragged on. It could just last out on that fuel load, and it wasn't compromised by speed. So all the time you'd think once you actually get the car down onto that lighter fuel load, you're definitely going to be getting those faster lap times. But just with that weight difference, you tend to lose a lot of mechanical grip. It's a nice pass, and it looks like got a car maybe going in. I think that's Patterson. So it is a blue flag condition as well. Vandel's in the pits. That sees Gander take race lead. 13.5 minutes to go. He will need the pit. So still a handful of drivers yet to come in and take fuel. Harvey's just gone in. There's a parked up car as well. That's Cameron Jones. Looks like he's been in there for a while. I'm not sure if he's done a tow, but showing that he was in there for 413 seconds. So he's just had to stop and tend to something else. Or if he's just parked the car up and now spotting for his teammates. So Maya currently 10 seconds away from Gander. Maya's taken on that fuel. It was a 13-second stop. Yeah, Stefan, Dave now battling it out. A little bit of swapping and changing. Steph's going to have a pretty good position here coming down to the turn 11. She's going to back out. She didn't keep the elbows out and make him work for it. But it's a very tight inside line. This could compromise his run. There he manages to pull it in. Good work there for Steph. She moves up a position. As does Arnie and Duncan. Newlands came in for that fuel. There's no other drivers ahead that are going to have to stop. It's the only interesting thing with Piccoli having hit rather early. It's only an 8-second stop, so it may have been for a fast repair. And then with the cars capped at 47% fuel, she may have only been able to just do a small splash of fuel. If it was around with 33 minutes or so remaining, with a bit of conserving, she could definitely still get the car across the line, and that could be a pretty good finish. With Gander going into the pits, it sees him drop down into P9. It doesn't count as a lap led, because he did peel into the pits before crossing that control line. But to come back out on track in P10, oh, seeing a fair bit of smoke. So there's been a spin or a lock. Well, this has been a fantastic, clean race. So there's only 8 cars that have actually made any contact of any sorts. That could be on their own. Sometimes that even comes up as a curb strike as well. If you scrape the underside of the car, or it's a solid hit in the suspension, sometimes will register as contact on this register that I use. It's a beautiful race here. So it's great to see getting these GTEs dialed in. Baz and Vandel, is that touch between the two? No, that's a lapped car, I believe. Oliver Patterson. Now Stuart Crawford and David Vaz. They managed to save it. That fault incident there could have been a very costly one. Oh, Nixon's just had to tow the car. He was running up towards the front. So it looks like he's overshot a corner. Oh, he's actually, yeah, bringing the car up there, so we're going to have to go back a little bit further. He's crossed through, slight little touch, and then another touch. That's what we were caught. What's going on there? Quite sure what caused it for him. If there may have been some significant damage that has come to it, but Cameron Jones ended up retiring out, so he's not actually in the car anymore in the pits. Just under 8 minutes left to go. Lynn's 2.5 seconds away from our race leader, Brendan Meyer. Only lead change we have was Sebastian Vandel. That's a huge comeback from not qualifying. Well, that was a challenge he was setting himself for, trying to potentially steer clear of any issues, or just couldn't tie a tidy qualifying lap together. So he's going to lose out a little bit on championship points in qualifying. But a good race finish here could be enough to be able to maintain the lead. Crawford and Baz closing in, and then 2 cars ahead is Urquhart and Oliver Patterson. So between the 4, it's only 1.4 second gap. The 4 snaking. Baz seems to have the most momentum at the moment. It's a fantastic flyby from that curb. Some great track cams at Sebring. Looks like Nixon may have retired after that. Maybe not catastrophic on the car. Maybe not just being too impressed with how it was going in the incident. Well, his car off to the side there. That's Arnie. Where there's been an error. Momentum's put off a little bit. That focus seems to have changed. Got a bit of gap to the next car, so he'll be able to gather himself in time. Five minutes to go. So that's 2 to 3 laps. Oh, scrape of that wall. Just using every bit of track he can, pushing it to its limits. Race 4, not let up, very similarly paced. Baz. Off track, trying to get full amount of pace for this, but he had to lift a little bit. He's being held up by Urquhart ahead. Oh, slide, he could not avoid that. That could have gone very bad for both of them. That was incredibly lucky. Must have been enough momentum in that spin that was just able to just nudge him around. It looks like the car's wanting to crawl to the right. Jump on helmet cam and just see how he's battling it out. Steering okay, can he hold out for 2 more laps? Not sure if that was a rear, but he may have been tagged. Yeah, I think it was that right rear. So essentially only lost 2 positions. So he's rather lucky, especially for Baz. Just have that car turned around in front of you. And he had no choice but just to make contact. The only thing is if there's some hefty aero damage to the front of that Ferrari 488, he could lose out on some top end speed. He's just lucky there's a 10-second gap between himself and Damien Cross. Lynn succumbed to Vandel. He's misjudged and hit that curb. That's unstabilized the car a little bit. Looks like he's got a bit of front end damage. Looks like it's buckled right in front of the radiator. Oh, big hit behind. I think it's a lap car. That Newen's car. Oh, can he limp the car home? That Corvette slammed straight into that ball. I think it may have been the tyres. It may not be as bad. Having the pit here, unless he's been given the meatball flag. No, he doesn't come in. I think may have just seen flag marshal with the white flag out. There's a minute 30 left. It's probably about 3/4 of a lap to do. It should be the last lap of the race. That's how flags won't update to white flag until that countdown has gone down to 0. Vandel 1 second away from race leader Meyer. He's led for 17 laps of the 19. Vandel leading for 2. Seconds on the clock. This is his only opportunity to take the race win. Be a shame to see Meyer lose it after such a solid run. Especially getting caught up in drama after qualifying up towards the front at Spa. There's 30 seconds left. There may be another lap in it. I think there's enough time for the countdown. The clock's essentially going to run out. Only halfway through the final turn. There's going to be huge pressure here for Meyer, seeing his final corner. He's got to take it easy, maybe try and balk a little bit. Don't open the door. He's got the win. Checkered flag out. The win goes to Brendan Meyer. Vandel, still fantastic result. Huge comeback, P2. That will still help the championship. And Royce Lynn on the podium, P3. Good result for Oliver Patterson, P4. David Baz, P5 special for the scary incident between himself and Urquhart. And even with that, Urquhart still managing to only be a position behind in that. Well, actually, no, he's just dropped down into 14th position, so some post-race penalties being stung into him. So that sees Cross going up into P6. So it may have been enough incident points for Urquhart towards that back end with that contact. So once they reach 17 points, there's a drive-through, and if you cross the line at the end, that will just be added onto your time at the end of the race. And that's usually a stop and hold for 45 seconds. Crawford in 9th. Bartish flashing his lights, he's happy. P10, finish up top 10. Haley rounding up in 11. One of them burnouts going on down the end. Buckland in 14th. I think he may have had a post-race penalty too. There was a little bit of a shift there between results with Urquhart and Buckland. Enough time for Blake Gallen. Finish up, I think Arnie may be a little bit further behind, so that's Gallen in the Ferrari. Bring it up in P15. There he is, crossing the line. And then there's no front bar for the Lynn's car. They've just destroyed the car in post-race celebrations. Who is it that's doing all these burnouts up the front? There's someone smoking her up there. Yeah, it's Jason Schooler. Sorry, that Porsche. Destroying it up. There we are. Race done and dusted for round 2. Let's bring up those results now. 20 laps at Sebring for round 2 of the Pagnian Imports GTE Championship sees Brendan Meyer at the top of the podium with that race victory. Well done to Brendan. And then on the podium in P2 is Sebastian Vandel and P3 Royce Lynn. And then we have Oliver Patterson, David Baz, Blake Urquhart, Damien Cross, Russell Gander, Jason Schooler and Stuart Crawford for our top 10 finishers. And taking a look down through the rest all the way through to P26. Let's see if we've got our guys in the channel. And congratulations, Brendan. Solid drive out there tonight.
That was a bit crazy, a bit full on. I definitely know I wasn't the quickest on the track there after practicing with a few of these boys. I know I was starting to sweat when Seb started getting closer, and I overfilled on that pit stop too. And I've seen Royce in practice. I know both these boys are quicker than me, but I think it's just luck of the draw with that one.
Yeah, well, just to finish for the podium, just about 1.2 seconds between you and Seb, and then that's sort of just under 2 seconds, or 1.8 seconds exact between Seb and Royce. So that is pretty tight finish for 20 laps around Sebring.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think these other two boys, second and third, are definitely big contenders. I don't know how I managed to keep up there. Few mistakes, but managed to get through it. So.
Yeah, we led for the 18 laps. It's only just to lose that lead with the pit. And then even with your pit stop, 13 seconds we were in the box for, so it's about average for most of them. Seb, you did 18.4 seconds, but Royce, yeah, 11.3. So very quick stop there, so definitely made up some big time. Well, guys, too busy doing burnout still? They've left you on your own, Brendan.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
definitely.
Still on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm here.
Yeah, you had a good run. You're definitely closing in quick on Brendan. Seb on that last lap. I thought there was opportunity potentially to try and have a dig in that last corner.
Well, yeah, I definitely had a dig in the last corner. I got it a bit crossed up. Tried to keep it narrow to see if I could maybe get a nose in there, but Yeah, way overfueled in the pit stop. I think I had like 22 litres left, so 7 laps when I crossed the finish line. But yeah, it was a interesting race, and thought I might just be able to get Brendan, but I didn't in the end. He had some good pace at the end of the race there.
Yeah, and especially that last corner. It's plenty of door openings there to try and make your way through. I was just wondering how wide you could get your elbows out there, Brendan, to try and hold him off just for that last little bit.
I sort of knew that it might be a last dig right at that corner, so I sort of just decided to put some extra pounds on the Porsche and block that apex. I definitely know I haven't got Sebastian's pace. I know he's quick. Same with Royce, like I've both seen them both in practice. I know they're quick, so I sort of had to put on a few pounds there and block that apex and hopefully like try to keep it clean without being dirty. But yeah, I think I reckon a couple more laps these boys would have got me easily.
Yeah, they're starting to close that down pretty quick. And then Royce, you're in the BMW too, so getting that up there.
Yeah.
Amongst them.
Yeah,
the
I
Porsches.
Like
yeah.
I think it felt a bit more stable because I've got the Porsche as well. And I just didn't really like it.
Yeah,
But
very similar lap times. So Royce, you the fastest lap, 57.6, Brandon 57.4, and then Seb, you just got, I think, maybe the quickest lap of the race at 56.8. Yeah, 56.8, so pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close times. I think I might have got that lap on low fuel because the Porsche definitely handled a lot better on that low fuel load there. That's why I kind of opted to run the tank as dry as I could and then fill up for fuel.
Yeah. Was there the no qualifying time strategy or just didn't get a clean lap in?
Oh, I had a couple technical problems and I had to go to the toilet.
That's right. At least it would have made some fun trying to weave your way through all the traffic, make his way up towards the top. So at least you'd be able to secure that championship lead narrowly. So it'll be interesting to see those results.
Yeah, the racing was good tonight. Everyone was racing clean and probably some of the best racing I've done in these cars.
Yeah, it was actually looking real good. Barely any incidents in that rolling start. I don't know if it was just being a bit more prepared from last week or that full formation lap instead of just the chicane and then into it. But yeah, it was a very good opening lap and that continued throughout the race. So it was wonderful to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think even me keeping that start a bit tighter than last week. I didn't want to be a big gap. I didn't want everybody to stack up too much. It was like, it's easy to start on that track as well. Like you've got that last corner and then pit entry, so you sort of got that one shoot. And I think everybody sort of knows once you hit that last shoot, you're gone. Last week was a bit messy, but look, these two boys definitely, the second and third, mate, I know you guys got the pace like nothing else. I've seen you practice with Royce only this afternoon, and I'm like, where do I find it? So it'll be interesting next couple of rounds.
Yeah, and especially Suzuka next week, so it's going to be a little bit more tight to get around.
Yeah,
so might mix things up a little bit.
Suzuka, I think definitely would be interesting. I thought Sebring would definitely be a big challenge, but I think a lot of people had started to come with grips with it. But Suzuka's a bit like Sebring for me. It's one of those tracks that I just need to try to get my head around. So I'll be lucky if I fucking, excuse my language, but I'll be lucky if I hit in the sort of top 3 to qualify next week. I think that's going to be a challenge and a half.
Yeah, bit of your kryptonite for Suzuka. Hopefully you can still pull it out and get a good run anyway.
I'll be happy to qualify in the top 5 next week, I think.
So we'll look out for you there. Yep, congratulations guys and good luck with the practice for Suzuka. There's great seniors around Sebring tonight and look forward to seeing us battle it out in the rest of the series.
Cheers JT, see you next week.
No worries, we'll catch you then.
Thank you.
See you boys, good racing.
Good race.
You too, see ya.
There we have our podium finishes with Brendan Meyer taking out round 2 at Sebring for the Pagnian Imports GTE Championship. Sebastian Vandel P2 and Royce Lynn on P3. So it's Porsche 1-2 followed by the BMW. So will that be mixed up next week? And then that does see us at Suzuki International Racing Course GP for round 3. So hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet, so you'll be notified when we're live for that round. So we'll be back 7:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time Monday night. And there's more GTEs to be seen this Thursday night on Project Cars too, so don't miss that out. There's been some great racing in that already just from round 1, and round 2 is going to be great to see again. But thank you very much for joining in. I hope to see you trackside next time.